welcome to today's show. I'm Jacqueline Stockwell, CEO and founder at Leadership Through Data. I inspire and motivate information leaders across the world. And today I'm actually with two members of my team. I'm with Charlotte Easton and Jen Rickard. And I thought today that they could come onto the show and we could talk about sale and influencing. So recently we've been deploying the 12-month development program in Power. And I ran a workshop around how to sell information management. And I thought it'd be quite topical to get the sales team or account executives on, both as lovely as they are, to introduce you to them, but also to share some of the techniques that they use in the products and services that we offer to our customers. Not because we don't want to give away our secrets, but also they're really good concepts that you can use to sell information management back to the business, because effectively you're not selling a product, you're selling a service. So Charlotte, welcome, and Jenny, welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself first, Charlotte? Tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you very much, Jackie. I am Charlotte. I'm the account executive with Leadership Through Data for the UK and for ANZ. So my role essentially is to support organisations to grow by assisting with their information management and Microsoft 365 training solutions.
Beautiful. And Charlotte, tell me a bit about you. What do you like doing when you're not at work?
Spare time, I'm really into my gardening, but unfortunately the weather is kind of not allowing for that at the moment. But outside of that, I just love going out with my partner, going for food, walks around the countryside with our dogs. Live a very simple life.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and I know you're a keen gardener, so we often share a Gardener's World magazines between us, don't we?
Yeah.
I love that. And I think you also got a dab hand at making jewellery as well. You made some bracelet jewelleries, I'm sure you did, at some point, and shared it.
I wouldn't really call myself an expert in making jewellery, but I did at a point make some pearly bracelets, yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you're also a keen crafter.
Yeah.
I'm glad I remembered that, Charlotte, not you. Mine was your skill. Amazing, amazing. Jen, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell me what you do and a bit about you.
Amazing. Well, I'm Jen Rickard. I am the account executive here at Leadership for Data for North America and the UK. And a little bit about what I do here is I'm helping to find the right training solution for real problems. No more being ignored. Just get it done. So yeah, I'm here to kind of that's me, pretty much.
Beautiful. And Jen, what do you do in your spare time?
So in my spare time, I am a mum of 3 teenage children that are in university and college and currently doing her GCSE, so I have a lot on the go. I also enjoy some time with my husband, trying to walk out, and some quality like family and sister time, which is always nice. And my really intriguing hobby is I'm a real big WWE wrestling fan. On this live.
Yeah, you are. You stay up at really, really unusual hours
to watch it live. Yes, I
watch
do.
It. It's pure dedication. I love that. I love that. So let's talk about selling. So there's been a real, for me, certainly when I've started to talk about selling within information management, there's been a real disconnect that, oh, no, we're not selling a product, but actually we're selling a service, but we're also influencing people to buy into information management. As I know both of you have not come from a selling background before, so we've done a lot of training through Leadership Through Data for our sales services. So what is one of the key things that you think you could recommend for communicating with customers?
So I think ultimately with customers, first off, it's about having a great relationship and not just pushing a sale. I think you've ultimately got to find a solution that the customer actually needs, rather than a solution that you want to push out. So I think getting to the bottom of the need, really having them insightful conversations with customers helps you sell something that ultimately they're going to buy into.
Brilliant. Amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you for that answer. Jen, do you want to add anything to that?
So obviously I've come from a long line of retail experience, and selling is very different to how it is for information management, but you've still got to listen to the customer needs and build that relationship and keep going, even though like they say no, doesn't necessarily mean it's no, I'm not interested at all. It's the fact that it's not ready for them right now. So it's just keeping the communication going, but keeping those relationships building so that when they think of something, then we are the forefront of their mind that, oh yeah, I know exactly where I can go for that.
Yeah, and I think there's some really good points there, because actually when information leaders are trying to sell their services back to the business or get them to buy into information management, it's not having is not stopping that at that first no, because actually we know from experience, isn't it, that it can take 6 to 12 contact points for a customer to buy into a service or to
Yeah.
buy into a product. So it's about, taking that initial no, and then, as Charlotte said, building that relationship, and from that relationship you can then start to work through those 6 to 12 steps for them to engage with you. So what's one of the hardest things that you find in building relationships with customers, and what things could you offer listeners to help them with that?
So I think probably the hardest thing for me is maybe a clash of personality types. So we do a lot of work around different people's personality
Colour
types,
profiling.
and we know what types we all are. So I think for me at the start it was difficult to really kind of get that connection with maybe the opposite personality type to me. I think you can perceive some actions or some messages as something that they're actually not. So I think it's sometimes taking a step back, realising that they may just be a different personality type to you and they work different to you. There's different priorities in their business as there are to ours. So yeah, I think that was the most difficult thing for me personally to overcome.
Nice. And Charlotte, I just want to tweak on that a little bit more. So let's talk about those challenges, because we've had them in our own business, haven't
Yes,
we,
we
with
have.
the personality types. So we use the DISC framework, and we use the color profiling. So do you want to talk high level about the color profiles, the four color profiles that we work with, and then we can talk about the challenges that we've had within our team, but the
Yeah.
benefits of those challenges that have come from those.
Yeah, so with the colour profiles, I mean, it's exactly that. You've got red, blue, yellow, and green. So, as kind of a quick overview for each, red tends to be leaders, CEOs, people of that kind of level within their organisation, and kind of characterised by they could be very direct, come across as blunt. I mean, even it could be perceived as coming across as rude, but it's not. It's just that this person doesn't want to sit there, do the pleasantries. They want to get straight to business because they've probably got more important things to do with after. You've then got blue. Blue is all detail, everything is very precise. Think spreadsheets, notebooks, just taking examples from some of the blues that we've got in
Organisation.
our business. Yeah, so yeah, they're going to want every detail to everything. Ins and outs, they're going to ask you questions that you've never even thought anybody was going to ask you. And then you've got yellows, which tend to be very upbeat, sometimes very in your face, I think, but in a really kind of upbeat and happy way, but in the best way possible. Yellow people also tend to be the easiest people to sell to, just as a little side note. And then you've got green people, which Jen and I are through and through bright green. We like the fluff around the emails. We like putting in there, hi, how are you? Because we don't want to come across as rude ourselves. I find it really difficult to describe myself, Jen. Have you got anything else that you'd say
People
about
pleasers.
green? The
People
ultimate
pleasers.
people
Yeah.
pleaser,
We like to say
pleasantry.
yes to everybody. We fear that if we say no to somebody, it's a fear of rejection.
Yeah.
We're going to upset them. Like to be really nice and nicey about it. But you do come across the stoppers that aren't like us. And we have to remember that not everybody is like us when we have a conversation with them. So you always expect the unexpected on the other end. And then obviously recently we've been taught with the colour profiling that we do research first to find out exactly kind of if we can recognise any of those colour traits before we have the conversations. So we can prep in our mind how we're going to open the conversation with the right opening questions and then using the right closing questions to help get the sale wrapped up in a nice, neat bundle, I would say.
Yeah. So I love that. Thank you. So Charlotte, just a little bit more on that. So what colour, you talked about the challenges. So, and you've identified that you and Jen are greens. So I'm very red.
Yeah.
That's my position. But I'm also yellow. So people can be a multiple of colours. And there are some online tests that they can go and complete. And it will provide them with all their rainbow colours. So you'll be all four colours. So for example, in my book, like I'm a high red. I'm very high yellow actually, with a mid red, with some green for my personal life, and I'm like 4% blue because I'm not as you said, spreadsheet and
person.
process orientated. So having identified those skills, what were the challenges? And Jen can answer this as well. What are your challenges to work with somebody like me in my role?
So I think with you, Jackie, I mean, this is, a bit off topic going into kind of being different colours. Like I say, I'm very yellow in my personal life and you are as well. So I feel like me and you, when we're not talking about work, we're non-stop talking, non-stop chatting. But then, like you say, in work, you tend to be more red. I tend to be more green. So I think as a green people pleaser person that constantly wants the fluff, that constantly wants all of the pleasantries, and you kind of being the opposite in work, I feel like there have been times where I thought, oh my God, why is she talking to me like that? Why hasn't she put a kiss? Why hasn't she put an emoji? But again, that's going back to then understanding the colours and understanding, okay, that's not how you operate at work. And the same way we have multiple of staff members that are blue, and I've come to them with a problem, and then I get a million questions about said problem, and I'm like, I haven't even thought about any of these questions yet for myself. So I think it's as well when you're working together with people that are all different colours, which you're always going to be, I think it's just taking a step back and understanding what they're going to ask you, what they're going to want from you, how they're going to respond before you do something, so that you don't get any of that miscommunication.
And learning to adapt, which has taken us as a team a long time to adapt to it. Because it's always the fear that, oh my goodness, I'm going to upset somebody if I don't do that, or if I don't do that. And it's not feeling overwhelmed that you can't say no and pushing back, because to deal with your workload if someone keeps piling stuff up on you. And actually, because we're green people, we accept that challenge and we go, yeah, no problem. And actually what we should have done is go, no, I can't do that right now, because we like to please everybody and say yes. I've struggled with this all of my life, not just in my work, but also in my personal life, that it then has a knock-on effect of our sales performance and stuff, because you've just got so much to do that you lose importance in the baseline of what you're actually trying to achieve and the reason why you're doing it.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think also that certainly for mine in my red zone, there can be a red in my communication, but then there's no rudeness. So there are some reds that could be quite rude, but because you know me and we've had a conversation, you're just like, oh yeah, Jackie's just in the zone of getting stuff done in terms of that communication. So it's having that understanding. And I think there are some really good techniques that information leaders can absolutely use to get buy-in within their leadership team, but also within their stakeholders and their end users, that actually, you can overcome these challenges just by understanding the people that you're working with. So Jen, just back to your first point before we started talking about all these lovely colour profiles and rainbows, as I love a good rainbow. You said that you can use the colour to really get people to buy in over that said no. Like, what are the key things that you've been able to do, understanding like customers or understanding people that you're working with, and having built those relationships, that if you get a no, then you can use a persona to help you move that forward?
You've got to overcome that obstacle. So if there's budget constraints right now, it doesn't mean that training is not their full priority, because they've got to work with other stuff like big projects, or they need a new system. So the training then comes after that. So it's doing the work around giving them the right information. You should still focus on the training, because it's a key point of anyone's personal development. It also benefits the organisation if you've got the right training. It stops people high job turnover, because you're giving them the extra skills to then be able to do their job thoroughly at 110%, say, rather than at 20%, and they go, I don't like that, I'm not satisfied in my job, I'm going to leave and go somewhere else. It's making sure you've got the broad scope between saying that no and looking at them and working out, actually, it's not a no right now because X, Y, Z.
All right. Beautiful. And then I think it's also having the alternative offering. So if you get a no, you can offer alternative, and certainly for us as services, you can offer alternative products like the free training products for Empower 21, the droplet subscription. There's obviously my book that's now a resource. There's a scorecard. So there's a wide range of free training that you can actually offer a customer until they're ready for those. In terms of information management, it's just building that relationship, I think. If you get a no originally, goes back to what we talked about right at the start, those 6-point steps. Build that relationship, understand that person, what are their problems, what are their challenges, Charlotte talked about their needs, really trying to find out what their needs are so you can solve them for them. And that would be the role of, certainly for yourselves, but also for information leaders in trying to, really get in that selling, that buy into the business.
Yeah, and I think for us as well, we offer them the blogs as well. We'd help with relevant information that we provide as well. So it's giving them the access to our free resources like webinars, blogs, just to kind of keep them in the loop. So we're not actually selling anything to them. We're just keeping them fueled with information that we are still the forefront in their mind of when they need help and support. The relationship building, the support that I needed to get me where I needed to go.
Yeah, and it's also about branding as well. So we've talked quite a lot in the Empower about building your brand. So if an information leader can create their own brand, as you said, people can build your brand, and then from building your information management brand, you can then sell that into the business. But you can do that via, as you said, free training, but you could use a SharePoint page, you could use a wide range of free tools just to keep plugging away at people to get them to buy into what you're trying to sell. Brilliant. Is there anything else you want to leave with the listeners today, and just let them know how they can get in contact with you as well?
I would also say that it's really important to have the LinkedIn interactions and being able to, because if people aren't necessarily checking their emails 24/7, everyone likes a good scroll. I mean, we're all good at, I'll just watch this and I'll scroll through LinkedIn for like 5 minutes, 45 minutes later, you're still scrolling through LinkedIn. So I think it helps to say that, yes, this is what we do, but also have the personal touch as well. So we're talking about ourselves as well as what we do and what we offer. So it's keeping that balance right as well. So everyone remembers who we are.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, because LinkedIn is a really good way to connect and build relationships with people. Certainly in the wider community for information leaders, that you can really start to get that emphasis on who you are and what you need to, and you can get those additional resources.
Yeah, so I was just going to touch on what Jen's saying about LinkedIn. So I totally agree. I think posting and messaging people is really successful. I feel like LinkedIn tends to feel a bit more casual than what an email does too. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to reach out to people on there as well.
Yeah. Although you don't get, like me, you get inundated with sales and sales messages and all like that.
Yes,
and I'm thinking, make a
you do.
relationship with me first. I'm not going to buy from you because I don't know you. We only buy from people we like, we know, and we trust.
Yeah, you see
So
so
sending me
many, I think, that I like. That's what I wouldn't do if I was trying to sell something to someone.
You connect with somebody on LinkedIn and then 2 seconds later they're
Yeah.
selling you a
You know it's
sales
copy and
automatic
pasted.
generated pitch. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's even automated now. But guys, that is another podcast for another day. I am so grateful for your time. How can listeners reach out to you?
They can find us on LinkedIn or via our email, Leadership Through Data, or through the live chat if they need to speak to us as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jen and Charlotte. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you
Cheers,
so much
guys.
Thanks for having us. It was great fun.
Thank you for listening to the Journals of the Information Entrepreneur with me, Jacqueline Stockwell. I hope you found this episode inspiring and helpful and have some takeaway tips that can be useful to you. If you liked this episode, please like, review and share it with your friends. Your support helps us reach more information leaders to stay inspired and listen to great content. Want to test out your strengths and weaknesses and measure it against our Empower framework? Please complete the scorecard. It's a great way to improve and evaluate your skills. You can find the scorecard at the end of the description of this podcast. Stay tuned for a new podcast every Thursday, and remember to be bold, be brave and be beautiful.